All right, all right. First and foremost, we give all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High God, Yahweh. We do so in the name of His only begotten Son, who the Word inwardly calls Christ, Yahweh Shai. It's your brother Chief Priest, Alazar Ben Lawyer, aka the Guerrilla Hebrew. And yeah, we back at y'all with another class here this Wednesday morning, the first one of 2019, so-called 2019. The white man's, you know, I just thought about the white man, the white man's new year. You know, but we're here to keep and continue in the edification of the nation of Israel, feeding the flock of YASHARAHLA, the brothers and sisters in the truth. So we give all praises to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai for enabling us and empowering us to be here and give this lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. So shalom to everybody. Big up to Elemento Activo out there in Coachella. I'm hearing about a lot of people waking up out there in that high desert area through the spirit. So that's powerful. Let me see here. Shalom, Carlos. Shalom to everybody, man. We're gonna keep this business as usual as we have been on these classes. Well, 916, early start or late start, depending on how you're looking at it. But yeah, so we're gonna continue in the spirit of how we've been doing it, going into this Hebrew history and going into this Torah. So the nation can understand its history. We're gonna go over some very important foundational historical chapters today about the history of Israel. You know, so I guess really, I mean, without any further ado, of course, let me encourage everybody to like, sub, share, and super chat, as well as plug the summit coming up, 12th MASHARAH YASHARAHLA Hebrew Summit going down in Atlanta, Georgia, January 24th to the 27th. It's going down. We'd love to see y'all there. You know, so the information is there on the flyer. If you want any more information, you could always email us. Always. So, but yeah, so again, all praise Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. I want to not take too much time and just get started and go right into it. So we're going to be doing Genesis 38 to 41, and then we're going to be doing Numbers 5, 6, 8, and 9 today. So Shalom Wardar Rakab, and everybody in the building, all the Mashpakaka, YASHARAHLA, Shalom to you, right? So go ahead,
This is Genesis chapter 38, verse 1. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren.
So Judah left his brothers. It said Judah went down from his brethren. So Judah kind of, you know, he went out on his own, right? Read.
It says, and turned into a certain Adulamite, whose name was Harah.
So he was amongst the Hamites. He had a boy, Harah the Adulamite. That's his boy, right? So he went to basically go stay with him and build with him. Read on.
And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua.
So he saw Shua's daughter, all right? The name of his wife or this woman is not Shua. That's her father's name. He said, I saw the daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua. That Shua is the name of the certain Canaanite whose daughter Judah saw, right? So read.
And he took her and went in unto her.
So he took her and went in unto her. He had sex with her. This is woman now. This Canaanite woman, right? We know, according to previous chapters in Genesis, it was taboo, and we were told not to do this, not to get with the daughters of Canaan. Judah did it anyway, right? Read.
And she conceived and bare a son.
Read on.
And he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son. And she called his name Onan.
Read on.
And she yet again conceived and bare a son and called his name Shelah.
Right, so she had three, this Canaanite woman had 3 sons by Judah, right? So, just a quick note, when you hear people come with this make-believe Mamzer doctrine that they push, this cuts it. Because if what they're saying is true, the entire tribe of Judah are Mamzers. The entire tribe of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh are Mamzers, amongst others.
Right.
You're going to get to understand when you read this book, the 12 patriarchs, majority of them, they got with Hamitic women and made the 12 tribes. This nation was a nation that was made off the wombs of other nations. You'll find out.
Yeah.
You know why? Because we had 12 brothers.
Con.
We didn't have a whole lot of women during that time of the nation of Israel.
Con.
So in order for us to grow into what we are now, a lot of heathen wombs, and in particular Hamitic wombs, were needed.
Con.
This is a fact.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, how the hell do we go into Egypt, 70 souls, and then come out? What does it say? An innumerable multitude.
An innumerable multitude in the millions, right? Some say a million, some say 2 million. You know, it's different estimations on what we were exactly, but we were over a million. We know that for sure. So with that in mind, how do we go in 70 and come out boom? Now, granted, if brothers had daughters, maybe there was some cousin mingling, because we know that is lawful practice upheld in Torah, Hebraic practice and culture. We see that in the Bible. But for the most part, when we see in particular people being singled out, 9 times out of 10, their wife was a Hamite. I'm talking about the 12 patriarchs. Not saying that we should all go and get Hamitic women now. I'm just stating the facts of the history of how Israel came to be, which is one of the predominant points of this class, to educate Israel as to our history as being Israelites. This is our history. So we need to know this. We need to know, all the ins and outs. So when people say things that are stupid and contrary to the history of our nation, our family, then we know how to cut it. We know where it's at. We know what Genesis says, or anywhere else. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's instrumental to understand that. But this is a direct cut to the entire idiotic Mamzer doctrine. So read.
Genesis 38:5, and she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah, and he was at Kezib when she bare him.
Right, so it's 3. And now mind you, Judah is totally amongst the Canaanites. Remember, it says he left from his brethren. So he's totally amongst the Canaanites at this time. He's not amongst Israel. He's only dealing with and amongst the Canaanites right now. Go ahead.
It says, and Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah.
So Tamar. So he took a wife by the name of Tamar for his firstborn. Where is he amongst? The Canaanites. So what is Tamar? She's also a Canaanite. So here we have 2 Canaanite women, and this is how Israel exists, or the tribe of Judah, the chief tribe, Christ, David. You see what I'm saying? These guys exist through a men recreating or procreating rather with Canaanite women. Right, go ahead.
And it's like, not to because I want to stick to reading, but it's so cold, because I was thinking of it earlier, just going back to even us going 70 souls into Egypt and coming out. Not only does that disprove the Mamzer madness, but it also proves something basic like the color of the nation of Israel, the color of the children of Israel. Judah, there's 2 Canaanites. No one is going to dispute that the Canaanites are a so-called Negroid people. But then you're going to have, going into Yahushua coming down from this tribe, you're going to have them depict them as this white boy, when he comes from a lineage of literally a Negro. It's insane.
That's right.
But Genesis chapter 38, verse 7. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of Yahweh.
So was a wicked nigga, man. All right? A wicked, imagine that, a wicked Judah. Go ahead.
And Yahweh slew him. It says, and Judah said unto Onan.
The Most High killed this nigga because he's wicked. Right? Go ahead.
And Judah said to Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife and marry her.
Okay, could be because this is a custom that we see mandated in our Torah, in our law. But this was a custom that our people kept prior to, and you're going to see a couple other customs, I think, in this chapter as well. But that it's called a levirate marriage. If your brother did not have a seed, a son, to continue in his lineage and his name, it was your duty to impregnate his wife if he died before having a son. It was your duty, right? So this is showing us that we were keeping that custom even prior to the codification of the Torah, right? So go ahead.
It says, it says, and Judah said unto Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife and marry her and raise up seed to thy brother.
That's right. Go into your brother's wife, marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. This is what Onan was supposed to do. Read on.
And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground.
Another wicked nigga. Okay, so you had a wicked nigga by the name of and the Most High killed him. As a result of that, Onan was supposed to raise up children to wife in the name of Him being a wicked nigga, he pulled out. Instead of knocking his brother's wife up as he was commanded by his father and ultimately by the Most High God, he pulled out. He used the pull-out method. Now people will go to this and say you can't pull out. This is a law that this is not mean that, and that doesn't mean you can't. You have to. And I'm going to speak scientifically, but also graphically. You don't have to ejaculate inside of a woman every time you have a sexual intercourse with her. You don't have to, but when you have to do the duty of a brother of a wife, or the brother of a husband who's dead to his wife, you do certainly have to, as we say in the Sicarii, shoot the club up. You got to, because God said you have to. Your father said you have to. So you have to because you have a duty to your brother who you love, who is dead, to raise him up a seed. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to shoot the club up until she get pregnant. Right? Ain't no pulling out. So let's see what happened because he pulled out in this instance. Not just because he pulled out, because he pulled out in this instance. Read on.
God says that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother.
He didn't want it, Ray. He didn't want to. He's wicked in his heart. He hated his brother. That's clear. He didn't want to raise up seed to his brother. He wanted to hog all the seed. Like, come on, man. You mean to tell me you can't knock this one up, give your brother one, and then give yourself one? You see what I'm saying? It ain't nothing. She'll be ready to go next year. Go ahead and knock her up next year.
Con.
But this nigga being so evil, he couldn't do it. So read.
Con. And the thing which so this is Judah, this is Negro.
Judah,
so that's something
Negro,
I think that's something I thought Judah would have just naturally done. You know? It says, and the thing which he did displeased Yahweh.
So like it real quick, Nassau, Bahamas, the assembly of the Lord means coming to the temple and having the ability to offer sacrifice. Read.
And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also.
So the Most High killed Onan too. So Judah had 3 boys. Most High killed 2. Read.
Con. Slew him also. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at thy father's house till Shelah my son be grown.
So she said, look. He said, look, Tamar, go home, go to Pop's house. When Shelah is grown, because Shelah was a boy at that time, when he grown, he'll be your husband, right? Because that's still the custom. Because Onan didn't do what he was supposed to do, and now he's dead. It's now passed on to the next son in line, which is Shelah. Read on.
Come. So Shelah my son be grown, for he said, lest peradventure he die also.
That's right, go ahead.
As his brethren did, and Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in the process,
meaning he's saying the Most High gonna kill Shelah if Shelah does not raise you up a seed. Right? This is clear. He's seeing how the Most High is dealing in this situation. Right? And there's one last son. The tribe of Judah damn near didn't even exist. Almost. Right, Reed?
And in process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died.
So Judah had a wife. She died in the process of time. Right? Read.
And Judah was comforted and went up unto his shepherds, sheep shearers, to Timnath, he and his friend Herah, the Adumalite.
So in order to comfort himself, to deal with the trauma of losing his wife, him and his boy went on a trip out of town, right? To a different town, still here in the land of Canaan. This land, Timnath. I know, Soldier Mama, I know the volume is low. I really don't even know. I don't understand why I've been looking at the levels the whole time. I don't understand why I got the mic up all the way, and I'm as close as I typically am to the mic. So I don't know, but if y'all could just turn it up and bear with us. But so yeah, they go on a trip out of town to another part of a city of Canaan. This city, Timnath, when y'all look it up, it ultimately became a possession of Judah later when the conquest of Canaan happened after we come out of the Exodus, right? But read.
It says, and it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep.
So Tamar found out, which lets you know also how she's a Canaanite, because she's in Canaan and she's getting word that he's going to another part of Canaan. If she wasn't in Canaan, not a Canaanite, how would she know these things? Right? Read.
And she put her widow's garments all from her.
So the widow's garments, you'll learn about these, or you'll see this mentioned throughout the Bible. There were specific garments that were worn to, you know, show certain things. So if you were a widow, you would wear a garment that was show that you were in mourning because you lost your husband. If you were a whore, a harlot, you would wear a certain garment that would indicate that you were a harlot. This is how society kind of worked, especially the society in the Levant during that time, Israelite society, Canaanite society. It worked like this. Certain warriors and classes in the army would wear certain garments to indicate that. Priests would wear certain garments to indicate that. You see what I'm saying? Your clothing would kind of, you know, display your class, or not even your class, but your status in society, right? Because it wasn't so much classism, but you know there certainly was roles in society: whores, widows, warriors, priests, etc. Right? Go ahead.
It says, and she put her widow's garment off from her and covered her with a veil and wrapped herself.
So she put her widow's garment off of her, covered her with a veil, read on.
And wrapped herself and sat in an open place.
And went into an open, but she went to a place open in the city where you can see her, right? Go ahead.
Which is by the way to Timnah, for she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him the wife.
So she went in secret with that veil on, and she saw Judah, and she saw Shelah, and she saw that he was a grown man now. He was ready to take a wife. So she saw, wait a minute, here he is grown, and the man has not been given to me for a husband. This is a problem. Tamar's been made a promise by Judah. Tamar seen the Most High Yahweh kill 2 men, including her husband and her next husband in line. So this is very important that she get a husband out of the stock of Judah. Read.
When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot.
Judah seen her in the way she was dressed. He thought she was a hoe. Now, mind you, she has a veil. So it's certain clothes that indicate being a hoe, and we can understand this today. Even we see a girl, certain people see a girl, and you'll say, what? She's dressed like a hoe. She's dressed like a slut, etc. So you know there's certain clothing that is indicative of harlotry, promiscuity, possibly being a sex worker, right? In the same time period, there was clothing that indicated the same thing. But these whores would wear veils on their face. There's a reason why they would wear veils on their face. If anybody's familiar with prostitution, it's modern day and age. I know they got Backpage shut down. But, you know, on Backpage, you used to see women who were selling themselves prostitutes. And what they would do is they would blur their face out, crop their face out. See that? Because it's shameful to be a harlot. So you wouldn't want people to know. And you're selling your body anyway, not your face. So harlots in this day and age, and going back to the ancient times, will wear a veil over their face so you wouldn't be able to see their face. But you would be able to see their body. And that's what you were buying anyway. Read.
He says he thought her to be a harlot because she had covered her face.
He thought it was a hoe with the veil on her face. Right? Read on.
And he turned unto her by the way and said, go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For
he said, now he's seen her. And he said, let me, you see that? We got to understand. Read that part again. We got to understand what's going on here. Read.
And he turned unto her by the way and said, go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee.
Let me have sex with you for money. Judah, the father of the tribe of Judah, bought some box. Bought a whore. Why am I emphasizing this? So you can understand the history. You a Judite, see Judah, they be banging you. Judah. Understand how you came into existence, man. Pops was a trick. That's how Judah came. Well, that's it right there. I'm gonna tell you something. When I was in Vegas, man, them sisters out there that was selling they behind, man, they was looking for 3 things: an Edomite, an Elamite, an East Indian, or an old Judite. And this is Judah in his old age, man. Go ahead. A hot dollar, yeah, kind of like a hot dollar. Go ahead.
It says, for he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law.
He didn't know it was her. He didn't know who the hell it was. He was looking at that body. Right? Them Canaanite women, you know, they built a certain way. You can see that now. You look at the women of certain of them African countries, Uganda, the Congo, things of that nature. You know, I'm not gonna front on them. They got quite a build. All right. So read.
And she said, what wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me?
So what are you putting on the table for this sexual transaction? Right. Read.
And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock, And she said, "Wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it?"
So she said, okay, you going to pay me with a kid from the flock, but I need collateral. A pledge till you send it means I need collateral that will hold me over up until you give me my payment, right? Read.
And he said, "What pledge shall I give thee?" And she said, "Thy signet."
Thy what?
Thy signet.
Thy signet. This is a ring, right? So this cuts the whole graven image thing, because Judah had a signet, had a ring that had a symbol on it that symbolized him. This would later be the symbol of the family of Judah, which is what? The lion. That's his signet on a ring. Read on.
Thy signet and thy bracelets.
And thy bracelet. So he was iced out. He had a ring. He had bracelets on. He had a Breitling, iced out Breitling bracelet. Now I don't know what kind of bracelet he had, but I'm sure you know it was a fine piece of jewelry. So he had his ring and his bracelet. Read on.
And thy staff that is in thine hand.
So his staff, his bracelet, and his ring he gave to her as collateral that would suffice and hold her over up until he gave her the actual payment that she was due for having sex with him. Right? Read on.
And he gave it her, and it came in unto her, and she conceived by him.
So he went, he had sex with her. He, unlike his son Onan, did not pull out, and she became pregnant. Read.
And she arose and went away and laid by her veil from her and put on the garments of her widowhood.
So she left, went back to the crib and put on her widow garments. Right? Read.
And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend, the Adullamite.
So he sent his boy to come pay her. That's how shameful he was. He couldn't even go pay her. He had to send his boy to go pay her. Read.
This is the black man in America. This is the black man in America.
Look it out.
It says by the hand of his friend the Adullamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not.
We couldn't find the whore. Right? Read.
Then he asked the men of this place, saying, "Where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside?"
Where that hoe go?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Where this hoe that was over here working this corner? Read.
And they said there was no harlot in the place. In this place. And
there wasn't no hoe around here. What you talking about? Because first of all, she wasn't even a hoe. That's how crazy it is. It was really the Most High authored this whole situation. Read.
It says, verse 23, and Judah said, "Let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid."
Now watch this. Go ahead.
And thou hast not found her.
He said, "Let her take it to her, lest we be shamed." Pull that up in the NLT real quick. That verse. It's funny as hell in the NLT.
This is Genesis chapter 38, verse 23 in the New Living Translation. Then let her keep the things I gave her, Judah said.
See, let her keep, meaning his ring, his iced out bracelets, and his staff. Read.
I sent the young goat as we agreed, but you couldn't find her.
He said, I sent her a payment, but you couldn't find her. Read on.
We be the laughing stock of the village if we went back again to look for her.
If we keep looking for this hoe, people are going to laugh us to scorn. You can't chase after a hoe. Judah understood this. You can't chase no hoe. So we ain't going to be chasing that hoe. She could just keep it. Right? Go ahead.
It says, verse 24, and it came to pass about 3 months after that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, hath played the harlot.
Because what's going to happen 3 months after? She's going to begin to show. Right? That's what happens once you typically get into your second trimester of pregnancy. That's when you begin to show. Right? Read.
And also, behold, she is with child by whoredom.
She's with child by what?
By whoredom.
They say she played the whore because she's supposed to be Shula's wife. She's with child with whoredom. Read.
And Judah said, bring her forth.
Bring her forth and what?
And let her be burnt.
And let her what?
Be burnt.
It's another custom that we see. The burning of a whore. Right? Now, under the Levitical law, not all women will be burned for being a whore. Only Levite women will be burned for being a whore. Other Israelite women, if they played a whore, would be stoned. Right? Other nation women, of course, wouldn't be bound by that law. But the 11 tribes would be stoned, but the Levite woman would be burned for being a whore. Right? So we can see this as a custom of ours here in the early parts of Genesis, again, prior to the codification of Torah. Right? Read.
It says, when she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man who's...
So she said, look, they brought her forth because he wants to burn her. So here they are bringing her forth, and she come and see Judah, and she said, what, read?
By the man whose these are...
By the man whose belongings I have, read.
Am I with child?
This is who knocked me up. The nigga whose stuff this is. Right, read?
And she said, discern, I pray thee, whose are these?
Yeah. Let me know. Figure out who these are. right? Read.
The signet and bracelets and staff. This sounds like something straight out of some type of black movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, you want to know who my baby dad is? This nigga.
Right.
And he looks down and he sees his bracelet, his ring, his staff, and what does he come to the realization of? He's the pappy, right? Read.
Except in now times it'd probably be his watch, his Jordans, and something. You know what I mean?
Chain.
Something.
His little Cuban chain.
Verse 26, and Judah acknowledged them and said, she hath been more righteous than I.
He said that once he realized that, it cut him to the heart, and he realized she had been more righteous than him because he had promised her, and he was customarily indebted to give her his next son, and he didn't do it. So what she did in trapping him actually continued the line of his son, right? And you know, so she actually wanted to do. She actually went out of her way to keep a law better than he did. And this is the first time, but this won't be the last time a Hamitic wife of a Hebrew Israelite does something like that. We see this in Exodus with Moses. When Moses waited to circumcise his son, and his Ethiopian wife had to do it. We got to do better, Jake. Go ahead.
Because that I gave her not to Shelah my son, and he knew her not, and he knew her again no more.
Knew her again no more. Meaning he wasn't in a consistent sexual relationship with Tamar, but he certainly did bear children to Tamar. What I say, children, you'll see. Read.
And it came to pass in the time of her travail that behold, twins were in her womb.
That's why I said children. There were two. She had twins, right, to make up for the two that had died. Read.
And it came to pass when she travailed that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, this came out first.
Hold on. Salakia. All right, go ahead. Read that again.
It says, and it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that behold, his brother came out, and she said, how hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Phares.
Which means breach. Paraz, which means breach. Go ahead.
It says, and afterward came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zerah.
So those are the kids. That was in the 38?
This is Genesis.
Okay, now hold that real quick. Get Numbers 26 and 20. Just real quick, because you have Phares and you have Zerah, which were hurt with Tamar's sons, but he still had that other son, which was Shelah. And just to prove that there were Judites who were born to Shelah, let me just get that real quick. Again, it all just goes with the Mamza doctrine cut to show that a Canaanitish woman brought forth an entire family in Judah. So read.
He said 26 and started at what?
20.
This is Numbers 26 and 20. And the sons of Judah, after their families, were of Shelah, the family of the Shelonites.
The Shelonites. So there was an entire family of Judah after Shelah. So Shelah did have kids. He brought forth kids. And there was a family. There's all the tribes of Judah, or the whole tribe of Judah goes back to three families. The Shelonites, read.
Of Phares, the family of the Pharzites.
The Pharzites, read.
Of Zerah, the family of the Zarhites.
The family of the Zarhites. So those are the three families of Judah. So all the tribe of Judah comes out of that. Phares is where we get, David, Yahushua, we get that royal lineage out of Phares, though, right? So let's go back now to Genesis 39. But I just want, just in case anybody ever says something stupid like Shula didn't have no kids, or try to argue that Tamar was somehow a Hebrew which there's no substantiation for that. But if they ever try to do any of that, go right there and show, oh, well, look, there's a whole family of Judites who are named the Shulanites, who come out of Shulah, who was certainly the son of a Canaanite, right? So read.
Genesis 39:1. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt. And Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh.
So we're going back to Joe, right? Last week we read about Joe getting sold into slavery. Now Joe is in Egypt. Read.
An officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites.
So out of the hands of the Ishmaelites, this Hamitic Egyptian, Mizraimite, he purchased our brother Joseph. Read.
Which had brought him down thither. And Yahweh was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer of his house, over his house, and all that he had he put into his hands.
So he gave him authority in Egypt. Read.
And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, that Yahweh blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake.
You see that? So we see this just same thing how Laban's house was blessed with our forefather Jacob in it. The same way America and the Americas, these various European empires were able to thrive off of free slave labor. You see what I'm saying? This all happened because things are prospering in the hand of the Israelites. This is why we were the most desirable slaves in the history of time. You see that in the Bible, and we see that now. This lets you know who the Israelites are. Who are the most desirable slaves? Blacks and Hispanics, period. So it stands to reason that we are the Israelites, predicated upon the fact that Israel is historically the most desirable slaves, right? So read.
And the blessing of Yahweh was upon all that he had in the house and in the fields. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said,
she liked it on this hot in the pants Mizraimite Egyptian woman. She wanted Joseph. She liked it on Joseph, right? Read.
And she said, lie with me. But he refused, and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I.
I'm the top guy in this house, under the master of the house. Read.
Neither hath he kept back anything from me, but thee.
He said basically, the only thing that he said I can't have access to is you, his wife. Right, read.
Because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?
This is an evil. Sorry, you had a point.
That's another. I was just gonna say that's another universal.
Showing it's a universal law. You can't have sex. Again, just like you can't have sex with your brother's wife. You can't have sex with a heathen's wife. If a white man has a wife, I don't care how fine she is. I don't care if she's a sister or a heathen. Whatever. You can't have sex with her. They have to end that marriage before you can deal with her. You see what I'm saying? Universal law. Our forefather Joseph knew that would be a grave sin to do. Read.
It says, how then can I do this great wickedness?
It's a great wickedness to commit adultery against any man. It's a great wickedness. It's not a light thing. Read.
And sin against God.
You see that? And sin. There's universal sins. We did that lesson a few months ago, but we like to remind people there are universal laws or universal sins that are universal, and that God, the Most High God, Yahweh, holds a standard to amongst all nations of the earth. Read.
And it came to pass as she spake.
Bring that out, Shatar Debaka. Well, women never understand no means no. They don't understand that. They can't take no. They worse than men when it comes to being taking no for an answer, man. All right? I know this by experience. Read.
And it came to pass as she spake to Joseph day by day that he hearkened not unto her.
So she kept chipping away at Joe. She kept trying to seduce Joseph. And he wasn't having it because he was raised right. Read.
To lie by her or to be with her.
Nowadays it's so crazy. Nowadays our people would gladly.
Yeah.
They wanted that. That's
a fantasy.
Yeah, that's a fantasy. It's incentive to them. Oh, I'm gonna deal with my boss's wife. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within.
So now it's just him and her in there alone. Go ahead.
And she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." And he
She
left.
caught him, but she grabbed him by the clothes, almost commanded him to have sex with her. Read.
And he left his garment in her hands and fled and
He got out of there. That's where we get the precept called flee from the face of sin. This was literal. It's literal sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, not just like stay away from sin. Like, no. If you have to literally run away from sin.
Get out.
Get out. The hell out of there. That's what our forefather Joseph did, giving us a prime example of how to conduct ourselves in the spirit.
Yeah,
Read.
It says, and it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying.
So now she's got his garment and he's gone. So now she's calling the men of the house saying what?
See, he hath brought in Hebrew unto us to mock us.
He brought the Hebrew to mock us, right? So now she's playing the race card. Go ahead.
Yeah. He came in unto me to lie with me.
He had sex with me. Read.
And I cried with a loud voice.
Basically, I was raped by this Puerto Rican man. That's what she said.
Yeah.
This Puerto Rican raped me. Read.
And it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out.
He got up out of there. Why did he get up out of there? Because he raped me and I screamed. This is what she's saying. Read.
And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, the Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass.
He raped me, and she said he came in unto me to mock me. So he raped me to be a shameful thing, right? The same way you had the so-called white man raping sisters, throughout slavery, and even to this very day, to mock. See that? Read.
And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, after this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. So
of course he's mad as hell. You just raped my wife. Hey, Derek Yehuda, the water brother, Yahweh Shah Barakatah, and just special gratitude for you for your continual support of the ministry. We are very grateful, and we pray the Most High rewards you tenfold, brother. But go ahead.
And Joseph's master took him and put him to the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. But Yahweh was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. So basically, he locked Joe up for this rape. But it's all the plan ultimately of the Most High. And let me explain. Because he could have just off top killed the man, right? Instead, he locks him up. And when he locks him up, the warden essentially of the prison, he's favorable upon Joseph, right? It's kind of like Rikers Island. They say the Puerto Ricans are kind of favored in Rikers Island. Go ahead. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it.
Right, read. But he was running to jail, right? Read.
The keeper of the
this is a precept. I'm telling you, you watch the damn Rikers documentary. He said Puerto Ricans was running to jail, man. It's Joseph, man. Right? Read.
The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hands. That's great. Because Yahweh was with him, and that which he did, Yahweh made it to prosper.
That's right. Yahweh was just with our brother Joseph, who our jealous ass forefathers sold into slavery. Go ahead.
It's funny. Bowley in the chat. That's funny. She kept calling him Hebrew. We know what word she wanted to use.
Yeah, nigger.
Yeah.
That nigger raped me. That spick raped me.
Right. That Hebrew. That was they probably used it as a derogatory.
Yeah, word. Because remember when we read in Exodus, it says because we sheep herders, we were an abomination to the Egyptians.
Yeah, that's right.
They held us in we were abominable to them. And here they are doing all kind of sexual deviance, but we're the abomination because we herd sheep, which is necessary for life, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, Genesis chapter 40, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt.
The Pharaoh. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them inward.
He's mad as hell at his butler and his cook. Go ahead.
And he put them inward in the house of the captain of the guard into the prison.
I'm going to put them inward. Put them in ward. What ward? A prison ward. So you can understand. Read.
the place where Joseph was bound,
Mm-hmm.
and the captain.
Same place where basically, essentially in the same module, right? You go nowadays, you go to county day, you get put into a certain module, a mod, a pod, whatever you want to call it. They were put in the same one as Joseph was. Read.
And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season inward. And
right, you can say inward, but reason why I'm emphasizing so you can understand, when it's in Old English, inward mean basically in jail. Go ahead.
And they dreamed a dream, both of them.
They both had dreams. Go ahead.
Each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in the prison.
That's right.
And Joseph came in unto them in the morning, and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his Lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said unto him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it.
Mm-hmm. So they're sad because they had a dream and they wanted to understand what their dreams meant. And you know, this some people have experienced this in this time, where they, you know, you dream a dream and it's weighing on you so much, and you wish you just knew what it was. I had one myself for the other day, and the Most High, believe the Most High opened up the interpretation for me. Right, read.
And Joseph said unto them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me them, I pray you.
Mm-hmm. He said, well, they belong to God, so tell me them. Why is Joe saying Joe is a dreamer? Right, read.
And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said to him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me.
Mm-hmm.
And in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth.
Mm-hmm.
And the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head, and restore thee unto thy place, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, after the former manner when thou wast his butler. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee. I'm going to read that. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house.
Basically, I'm going to give you the breakdown, and when you're freed out of this damn jail, you make sure to put in a word for me for Pharaoh, right? And get me the hell out of this jail. Read.
For indeed,
because he was working for a top guy in Egypt, but he wasn't working for the Pharaoh. So now he know whatever the Pharaoh say, he gonna circumvent anything anyone's talking about, because he has that full authority to veto things, right? So he can veto his whole, give him amnesty, write a pardon, or whatever the hell, like we know about it today, like the president can do, certain governors can do. You can write a pardon for certain people, and you can get them out of jail no matter what they've been found guilty of. So go ahead.
It says, For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon.
Yeah, basically, I don't deserve to be here in slavery, and I certainly don't deserve to be in jail. Right? Read.
When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head. And in the upper
Hamites, like baskets on their head. Go ahead.
And in the uppermost basket there was of all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the baskets upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee. And it came to pass on the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants, and lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph yet interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him.
You see that? You see this here? But I'm going to tell you, that's what happens in jail. In jail, you sitting up in there, you with the niggas you with, y'all looking out for each other. Y'all talking about when y'all get on the outside, y'all gonna do A, B, and C. Don't I'm gonna get out, I'm gonna get released, I'm getting out tomorrow. But what you need me to do, I'm gonna go do X, Y, and Z for you, bro. I got you. I'm gonna call you. Blah, 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 hit me when you get out. You know what happens when you get out of jail? You forget about all the niggas you were in jail with. You forget about them. Until maybe you run into them, you see them like, oh, what's up? How you been? But you're so excited that you're out of jail, you don't want to have anything to do with the niggas you were in jail with. Take it from me. I've been there. Go ahead.
Genesis.
And you know, a lot of times niggas don't take it personal. Because you know, look, I got out, bro, and I wasn't thinking about now one of you niggas. Because I'm out, and I'm happy, and I'm not trying to think about jail. See? Go ahead. Who this? Madness?
KR. He's
oh, yeah.
He's in
you got him? Oh, yeah. Time out.
41 too?
Oh, yeah. We reading all the 41.
Okay, this is Genesis 41:1. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kin, and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kin, is that kin or kind?
What is, how does
K-I-N-E.
Kind.
Salakis, I thought so. 7 other kind came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kind upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kind did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kind. So Pharaoh awoke, and he slept and dreamed the second time, and behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh.
We see a similar situation with our prophet Daniel, right? They both, you know, we're given this gift by the Most High, right? So read.
Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh was wroth with
So now here come the butler and say, damn, I was supposed to put in a good word for Joe. But I remember he did help me with the breakdown of that dream. So I know a guy, right? And he remembered that he was supposed to do something for him, right? But now it all is happening in the spirit, right? So read.
And we dreamed a dream in one night, I and he, we dreamed of each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, an Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams to each man according to his dream he did interpret.
Yeah, so Hebrew up in that jail, that nigga know his stuff. But you have to understand the divine plan of the Most High, and why it's important to trust in the Most High and not in flesh. Here's why I say this. Joe told the butler, look, I broke down this dream for you. When you get out, put in a good word with Pharaoh for me. That may or may not have worked. But in this manner, where now we have the Pharaoh needs Joseph, and the butler is there to witness to his skills in interpreting dreams and the accuracy in his breakdowns of dreams. Now it's really actually going to propel Joseph into a higher and better position now than Joseph's initial plan. Go ahead.
Yeah, because then also that sets up his family coming into Egypt during the famine.
Exactly.
And who knows what Joseph would have done after. Let's say he did get free, and he might have gone back home.
Yeah, who knows what he would have did.
You see that?
Then what? You see what I'm saying? But now we clearly see this is a situation where it actually is beneficial for us, and it sets the catalyst now for the nation of Israel to exist. You know, so it's important.
Yeah, but that's going to the Lord.
That's right. And Most High is all of this his movie, right? So we can think of a plan and a plot and think, okay, well, if it goes down like this, it'll be perfect. And then it won't happen like that. But then the Most High will bring it full circle to where it happens in an even better way than where we thought and we planned. You know, that the Most High is right in all his doing.
That's right.
Right? So go ahead.
It says, verse 23, verse 13, and it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon.
They hurried up and brought Joe in, right, Reed?
And he shaved himself and changed his raiment and came in unto Pharaoh.
Right, so he changed his clothes, he was shaved. But see, this is jail, man. I never really analyzed how jail this story really was. This is jail. You know what a nigga want to do before he go see the judge? You gotta get. I remember I got caught. I gotta shave. You see what I'm saying? Of course, you know I wasn't shaving. Right off top, I'm looking at you niggas like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? But that's what niggas be thinking. I gotta shave. I gotta be presentable, right? Because having a beard was not what Egyptian culture. They didn't grow beards in Egypt, right? That was our thing. In the same way now, the white man don't want, even though the white man be having beards, they don't want you to have a beard, a beard it strikes fear in it. They say a brother with a beard, it strikes fear in it. So they want you to shave. They think it's more presentable. Call it clean. The Egyptians the same thing. So that's what Joe did. Of course, this is before the law that tells us we can't shave. Right? It was customary for us to keep a beard, but there wasn't a codified Hebraic law that enforced us to keep a beard like we have it after we come out of Egypt. But we certainly had them because it was our culture. Right? So read.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard it say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret.
I heard you can give me the break now.
Verse 16. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not in me.
What chapter we in? 41?
41, yeah.
Okay.
We about to read this. We got like, it's 57 verses.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Saying, it is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer.
Real quick, Aliyah Izar 92. The confusion of faith doctrine, that scripture is not talking about Israelites looking not like Israelites. But there are Israelites that won't look like Israelites. We certainly believe that that'll happen. But the confusion of faith scripture is that's not what that's talking about. Things happen genetically when people so-called mix or mingle, and this is bold and ashamed.
I just looked at his profile. He's like an apologist.
Yeah, well, he's bold and ashamed.
Yeah, he's a confusion of faith.
He's ashamed because that's what confusion of faith means, brother. Shame, right? It doesn't matter what your complexion is or how you look. If your father's an Israelite, you're an Israelite, brother. Period. But the whole confusion of faith thing, that's convoluted. That's not what that's talking about. But there certainly will be Israelites that don't look like what you would typically generally say is an Israelite. The nation of Israel is not homogenous, nor is any nation on the earth. Even if they seem a lot homogenous, no nation is homogenous. And like the powerful war dog Zahar Yaquab Bungad just posted in the chat, we're a speckled bird. If you take a look at a speckled bird will be predominantly a dark color. Then it'll have a lighter color here, a lighter color. You might even see white spots on there. You see what I'm saying? On a speckled bird. So that's what it is. Read. You see that? This bird Zahar is telling you, man. He's calling this brother a heathen. When it's a Gadite. You see what I'm saying? But go ahead.
Yeah, bold and ashamed, you're going to be cold and enslaved.
Very soon. Nigga, go ahead.
Verse 16. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not in me, God. It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace.
He said, but basically, I'm not. And we see Joseph, just like we see Yahushua, and we see many great men in the scriptures always diverting praise. So it's not of me. It's of the Most High that's going to give him that breakdown of that dream. That's the way I have to understand. Even because I made a video, Guerrilla Hebrew Rain, man. People have seen it, and I had half a mind to make it a couple months ago, but part of the reason I didn't make it was because I didn't want anybody to misconstrue what I was saying in the video. But then after I went on 2 more trips and it rained 2 more times, it was just like, all right, I gotta make the video. But we gotta get this twist. I'm not saying that I'm coming to the city and making it rain. I'm coming to the city in the Most High making it rain. If I had to be able to make it rain, it would rain as soon as I snap my fingers. And I don't even much like rain, so I don't even want to be in the rain. I kind of wish it didn't rain in the cities I went to, but that's not what happened. So I just wanted to make sure that people understood that I wasn't trying to say like I'm something magical about me. The same way Elijah didn't call fire down from heaven. Now did he? You see what I'm saying? The Most High is doing all this stuff. And it's important that we, as men and priests and prophets of the Most High, are diverting the praise to him, because it's him that's actually doing it for whatever purpose he wants to do. Right? But go ahead.
Yeah, even Yahushua said, I can of my own self do nothing.
Do nothing. I'm not coming here doing anything. The Most High is giving me these abilities and instructing me to do these things. You see what I'm saying? But go ahead.
This is Genesis chapter 41, verse 17. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, in my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very ill-favored, and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness. And the lean and the ill-favored kine did eat up the first 7 fat kine, And when they had eaten them, and when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them. But they were still ill-favored as at the beginning. So I awoke. And I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up in one stalk, full and good. And behold, 7 ears withered, thin and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears. And I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it to me. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God has showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kine that came up after them are 7 years. The 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine.
So we're letting you know you're gonna have 7 good and abundant years of harvest, and you're gonna have 7 famines. Read.
Con. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume in the lands.
Because the famine is gonna be so bad, we're gonna forget about the good times. Right? Read.
And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by God, and God will surely bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. And let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be for a store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, For as much as God hath showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in thy throne will I be greater than thou. So only Pharaoh is going to be greater than him. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand, and put it on Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. He put a gold chain about his neck. Gave him that little Cuban.
Yeah, that's right.
And made him to ride in the 2nd chariot which he had, and they cried before him, bowed the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphanath Pa'anea. And yes,
whatever that means.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, future voice.
It says, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Ptolemy, priest of On, and Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt.
So he gave him a wife, an Egyptian wife, and gave him rule and power in that place.
And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh, and went throughout all the land of Egypt. And in the 7 plenteous years the earth brought forth by handfuls. And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities. The food of the field which was round about every city laid he up in the same. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much until he left numbering, for it was without number. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons. Before the years of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Ptolemy, priest of On, bare unto him.
Another mamzer cut. This Egyptian woman bore who? Read.
And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God said, He hath made me forget all my toil and all my father's house.
Because he was so overtaken in joy from having his son, he forgot all the hell that he went through. Joseph. Read. So that's what Manasseh means, made to forget. Right, read.
In the name of the second called he Ephraim, for God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction.
Aporium, he will add. Oh no, so like fruitful, my fault. The Joseph is he will add, my fault. Go ahead.
And the 7 years of plenteous that was in the land of Egypt were ended, and the 7 years of dearth began to come.
So here comes the famine. Read.
As Joseph had said, and the dearth was in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread.
Mm-hmm. But there was bread. Why? Because of the instructions that God gave Joseph to give to Pharaoh to ensure that they would be covered during the time of that famine. Of course, that's the catalyst to Israel coming and sojourning in Egypt, etc. We understand all of that. But Joseph was the one who the Most High gave the instructions to that ultimately saved Egypt in a way, right? But it was only for the purpose of the salvation and preservation of Israel, right? So Joseph, in a sense, certainly was a savior in his own right of Israel. Go ahead.
It says, verse 55, and when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, go unto Joseph, what he said to you, do. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn.
So everyone was coming because of the famine to buy corn, but they had to go see the man Joe. They had to go see him, right, Reed?
Because that the famine was so sore in all lands.
You still in 41? That was
the
end
of 41.
Okay, con. So we'll pick up the rest of that next week. Let's now go to the book of Numbers in the Torah. And we're going to read 5, 6, 8, and 9.
This is Numbers chapter 5.
Some of my favorite chapters. Go ahead.
Numbers chapter 5, verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, command the children of Israel that they put out of the camp every leper, and every one that hath an issue, and whosoever is defiled by the dead. Both male and female shall you put out without the camp, shall you put them, that they defile not their camps in the midst whereof I dwell. And the children of Israel did so, and put them out without the camp, as Yahweh spake unto Moses, so did the children of Israel. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, when a man or a woman shall commit any sin that men commit to do a trespass against Yahweh, and that person be guilty, then they shall confess their sin which they have done, and he shall recompense his trespass with the principal thereof, and add unto it the fifth part thereof.
So when you sin, you confess your sin and you bring a sacrifice. That's how we would do it when we had our standing temple. Now we confess our sins unto the Most High, and we hope that the blood of Hamashiach will cover us. We hope. Read.
And give it unto him against whom he hath trespassed. But if the man hath no kinsman to recompense the trespass unto, let the trespass be recompensed unto the Lord, even to the priest, beside the ram of the atonement, whereby an atonement shall be made for him. And every offering of all the holy things of the children of Israel, which they bring unto the priest, shall be his. And every man's hallowed things shall be his. Whatsoever any man giveth the priest, it shall be his. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, if any man's wife go aside and commit a trespass against him, and a man lie with her carnally, and it be hid from the eyes of her husband.
So if a woman commits adultery, and it's hid from the eyes of her husband, meaning she has committed adultery, but her husband does not know, right? Read.
And be kept close, and she be defiled, and there be no witness against her, neither she be taken with the manner, and the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife.
So, but he doesn't have any proof, or he doesn't know for sure that she's committed adultery. But he's now becoming jealous. He now has a sneaking suspicion in the spirit now that she's done it, right? You know, you have some men that think a woman has stepped out on them, and they have. Some men are just maybe being a little over jealous and tripping. But some brothers know exactly, you know what, she done did something, and I'm going to find out, right? Read.
Or if the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be not defiled, then shall the man bring his wife unto the priest, and she shall bring her offering for her, the 10th part of an ephah of barley meal. He shall pour no oil upon it, nor put frankincense thereon, for it is an offering of jealousy, an offering of memorial.
You see that? An offering got to be brought. So if you think your wife stepped out on you and you don't have the proof, you bring her to the priest, right? And an offering got to be brought, right? The offering is brought and made before we find out whether or not she's guilty. So what do we take from this? It's a sin to make your man jealous. There's a jealousy offering. It has to be brought. So it's a sin to make him jealous. So do not make your man jealous. Right? And my best advice, sisters, would be choose a brother that's not the jealous type. Read.
Con.
You just save yourself from sin. Read.
Bringing iniquity to remembrance. And the priest shall bring her near and set her before Yahweh.
So the priest come bring her into that temple, set her before Yahweh. Read.
And the priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel, not the holy water that you think you're getting dunked in.
Yeah, that's right. This is probably where they got it from.
Yeah,
This scripture,
yeah,
this one scripture, a holy water in an earthen vessel. The priest bless the water, take an earthen vessel, right? Meaning like a clay cup. That's an earthen vessel, not a glass, right? Read on.
And of the dust that is in the floor of the tabernacle, the priest shall take.
This is a potion. I want y'all to understand this. They're taking water and they're taking a specific dust on the tabernacle, holy dust, and they're putting it in. He's making a potion. You got to understand this. Again, we gonna keep, and when you more and more we get into this law and the Levitical rituals, the more and more you're gonna see where voodoo comes from. Okay, and guess what? Guess what voodoo is also known as, y'all? Yahweh, which is what predicated upon what the tetragrammaton YHWH, Yahweh. A lot of people don't know that. Not saying it's a righteous thing to do in this day and age, but this is where it comes from, right? So read.
Shall take it and put it into the water, and the priest shall set the woman before the Lord, and uncover the woman's head, and put the offering of memorial in her hands, which is the jealousy offering. And the priest shall have in his hand the bitter water that causeth the curse. And
it'll cause a curse, a bitter water that causes a curse. This is a potion, right? Read.
And the priest shall charge her by an oath, and say unto the woman, if no man hath lain with thee, and if thou hast not gone aside to uncleanness with another instead of thy husband, be thou free from this bitter water that causeth the curse. But if thou hast gone aside to another instead of thy husband, and if thou be defiled, and some man have lain with thee besides thy husband, then the priest shall charge the woman with an oath of cursing, and the priest shall say unto the woman, Yahweh make thee a curse and an oath among thy people. When Yahweh doth make thy thigh to rot and thy belly to swell.
You see, they're going to make your thighs rot and her belly to swell, man. All right, which is basically like a severe case of cellulite the woman would get. Read.
And this water that causeth curse shall go into thy bowels to make thy belly to swell and thy thigh to rot. And the woman shall say, Amen, Amen.
And the woman shall agree to it. Read.
And the priest shall write these curses in a book, and he shall blot them out with the bitter water.
So he write in wait a minute. So he takes some paper, and then writes the curses, and then blots them out. If this doesn't sound like a voodoo ritual, I don't know what does. Right? So this is, again, we just want to reemphasize it to prove where it comes from and to prove who the Levites are. All right? Read.
And he shall cause the woman to drink the bitter water that caused the curse, and the water that caused the curse shall enter into her and become bitter. Then the priest shall take the jealous offering out of the woman's hand, and shall wave the offering before Yahweh, and offer it upon the altar. And the priest shall take a handful of the offering, even the memorial thereof, and burn it upon the altar, and afterward shall cause the woman to drink the water. And when he hath made her to drink the water, then it shall come to pass that if she be defiled, and have done trespass against her husband, that the water that causeth the curse shall enter into her, and become bitter, and her belly shall swell, and her thighs shall rot, and the woman shall be a curse among her people. And if the woman be not defiled, but be clean, then she shall be free, and shall conceive seed.
Yeah, so if she is not defiled, if her that severe cellulite don't break out in her thighs and in her stomach, we know she hasn't done anything wrong and should be free, and the man may be a tripping, but a sacrifice was still given. The fact that they even had to be in that position called for a sacrifice. So you women got to really watch your conduct, okay? Even though we don't have that temple now, we don't have the ability to do these things now, that don't mean the Most High is not judging according to it, all right? Judging in the spirit of it, to be more specific. So read.
This is the law of jealousies when a wife goeth aside to another. Imagine the arguments. Imagine afterwards when a man was jealous of a woman and she didn't do nothing. Imagine.
She got him now. Nigga, you done brought me to the priest.
I can already.
I told you I ain't do nothing.
I can already imagine. I'm sorry. I was just tripping. Yeah, I know that happened an innumerable amount of times. It says, instead of her husband and is defiled, or when the spirit of jealousy cometh upon him, and he be jealous over his wife, and shall set the woman before the Lord Yahweh, and the priest shall execute upon her all this law. Then shall the man be guiltless from iniquity, and this woman shall bear her iniquity. 6. You said skip 8?
Skip 7.
Skip 7. Okay, this is Numbers chapter 6, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when either man or woman shall separate themselves to vow a vow of a Nazarite.
So there's something called the Nazarite vow. Okay, read.
To vow the vow of a Nazarite, to separate themselves unto the Lord.
So that's what Nazar means. It means separate. So you're separating yourself unto the Most High Yahweh. Read.
He shall separate himself from wine and strong drink.
Right, so you're not drinking wine, you're not drinking liquor. Right, read on.
And shall drink no vinegar of wine.
No vinegar of wine. That's like balsamic vinegar. You go to certain Italian restaurants. I'm going to get into this Nazarite thing because a lot of people, because I'm a Nazarite, I've been a Nazarite, since I was just a few months into the truth. And people got questions about it, so I'll go deep off into it now here through the Spirit. So wine and strong drink is wine and liquor, right? Then it says vinegar of strong drink or of wine, which is balsamic vinegar. Read.
Or vinegar of strong drink.
Uh-huh.
Neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat moist grapes or dry.
So you don't eat grapes, raisins, or drink liquor of grapes. Read.
All the days of his separation shall he eat nothing that is made of the vine tree, from the kernels even to the mist.
That's right. Husk. You don't eat any grapes. Read.
All the days of the vow of his separation, there shall no razor come upon his head.
And you can't cut your hair during the vow of the Nazarite. Read.
Until the days be fulfilled, in the which he separateth himself unto Yahweh. He shall be holy, and shall let the locks of the hair of his head grow.
That's right. You can't cut your hair or drink wine, or eat grapes, or any liquor of grapes, which most liquor is made of grapes, during the whole time of your separation. So if you say you're going to do it for 6 months, a month, a year, 3 years, your whole life, whatever you decide, you can't do it this entire time. And if you do it, it's going to talk about it, but I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. If you do it, you have to start all over. So if you say I'm going to do this for 5 years, and 2 years in, you come at a dead body or something like that, then you're going to have to start over a whole another 5 years, right? But it's going to get in particular because it doesn't go for if you drank wine in that time, but if you came at a dead body. So let me not jump too far ahead. Just keep going.
Come. All the days that he separateth himself unto Yahweh, he shall come at no dead body. He shall not make himself unclean for his father, or for his mother, for his brother, or for his sister, when they die, because the consecration of his God is upon his head.
That's right. So if one of your family members dies, you cannot attend the funeral if you're a Nazarite. Yeah, like the brother said, Samson had this vow, Samuel had this vow, Jean-Baptiste had this vow, right? No, Yahweh did not take the Nazarite vow, contrary to popular belief. He was a Nazarene because he lived in Nazareth. All right, he didn't have the Nazarite vow. I've heard people say that, but it's just because he says he's a Nazarene. It's also a place. There's a Nazarite vow, and then there's a place called Nazareth. Different things. Both things mean separate, right? What was I saying? You can't go to a dead body, though. The exception to this is if you killed somebody. We see this with Samuel. We see this with Samson. They killed plenty of people. They didn't have to cut their hair. Why? Because it's a different situation, right? So read.
I was just going to get a scripture where Yahweh drank wine.
Yahweh drank wine.
That's fine.
Right? So yeah, like Zahar said, if you're at war, that's a different situation. Go ahead.
It says, all the days of his separation he is holy unto Yahweh. And if any man die very suddenly by him, and he hath defiled the head of his...
If somebody just dropped dead by him. So it says you can't go to the funeral also if somebody just drops dead by you. Read.
And he hath defiled the head of his consecration, then he shall shave his head.
Then you have to shave your head, read.
In the day of his cleansing.
On
the 7th day he shall shave it.
Read on.
And on the 8th day he shall bring 2 turtles or 2 young pigeons to the priest to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering.
You see that you offer a sacrifice because you have broken the vow through this person dropping dead near you. Read.
And make an atonement for him, for that he sinned by the dead, and shall hollow his head that same day.
And you re-hollow your head that same day. So you bring an offering for that sin. Read.
And he shall consecrate unto Yahweh the days of his separation, and shall bring a lamb of the first year for a trespass offering. But the days that were before shall be lost, because his separation was defiled. And this is the law of the Nazarite. When the days of his separation are fulfilled, he shall be brought unto the door.
Now, mind you, it says it shall be lost, meaning if you say you're going to be a Nazarite for 5 years, and 2 years in somebody had a heart attack and died next to you, you have to start over. You lost all your years, but you have to bring a sacrifice for that, right? And now, the thing about that is, just like you can't drink wine or eat grapes, and you can't come at dead bodies. The same way you can't eat pork, but also you can't steal, right? Now, if you eat pork, you don't have to bring a sacrifice to the temple because you ate pork. There's not a sacrifice for eating an unclean food. You're just unclean until you understand what I'm saying? You're not supposed to do it. But if you stole from somebody, you got to bring a sacrifice. You see what I'm saying? So there's levels to the type of sin. The same way under the law of the Nazarite, if you were to drink wine, that's wrong. You're not supposed to do it. Repent, don't do it anymore. But if you come in a dead body, you got to cut that hair, bring a sacrifice, and restart your vow. So it's levels to it, right? But go ahead. The same way there's a regular sin, there's a sin unto death, etc. Right? Read.
Numbers 6 and 13. And this is the law of the Nazarite. When the days of his separation are fulfilled, he shall be brought unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and he shall offer his offering unto Yahweh, one he lamb of the first year without blemish for a burnt offering, and one ewe lamb of the first year without blemish.
So when you complete your Nazarite vow, you go to the temple and you do this. All right, you have to bring a certain sacrifice. Read.
For a sin offering, and one ram without blemish for peace offerings, and a basket of unleavened bread, cakes of fine flour mingled with oil, and wafers of unleavened bread anointed with oil, and their meat offering in their drink offerings. And the priest shall bring them before Yahweh, and shall offer his sin offering and his burnt offering. And he shall offer the ram for a sacrifice of peace offerings unto the Lord with the basket of unleavened bread. The priest shall offer also his meat offering and his drink offering. And the Nazarite shall shave the head of his separation at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall take the hair of the head of his separation and put it in the fire which is under the sacrifice of the peace offerings. And the priest shall take the sodden shoulder of the ram, and one unleavened cake out of the basket, and one unleavened wafer, and shall put them upon the hands of the Nazarite after the hair of his separation is shaven. And the priest shall wave them for a wave offering before Yahweh. This is holy for the priest, with the wave breast and heave shoulder, and after that the Nazarite may drink wine. This is the law of the Nazarite, who hath vowed, and of his offering unto Yahweh for separation, beside that his hand shall get according to the vow which he vowed. So he must do after the law of his separation. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel.
So it's a commandment to teach the name and put the name of Yahweh on the children of Israel. Right? Read on.
And I will bless them. That's the end of 6.
You get blessed, right? So that prayer was a prayer that that we would say, the Levites would say, particularly the sons of Aaron would say, and it's a prayer that we say now, and we encourage everyone to say right along with the Lord's Prayer. I would suggest that's very same prayer there in Numbers 6. Let's now go to Numbers 8.
This is Numbers chapter 8, verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron, and say unto him, When thou lightest the lamps, the 7 lamps shall give light over again the candles.
When you lightest the lamps, the 7 lamps, that's the menorah. It's a lamp. The menorahs we have now got candles on them. I want everyone to know something. The original menorah did not have no candle on it. It's a lamp. It was a... Let me show you.
Yeah, and that's... Where the hell does Amalek get the 9?
I don't even know. I read up on it before, but I have totally forgot. Let me show y'all the real... See, look, they don't even got... I forgot how to find a picture of it. Spinning.
Amalek just retarded. That's why you remember we're going into it, how the city of David and Zion is the same place in the Bible.
And they got it in 2 different places.
You go into Israel, they got a sign. It says city of David pointing to the right, Zion pointing to the damn left.
He's stupid, man.
How dumb? Hey, how?
Where is the spinning menorah at? Hold on, let me see. They used to have them on eBay. I forget exactly what you call them though.
You can't look up 7-lamp menorah. You think that's what?
I got the picture somewhere though, probably on my Facebook, so I could show, because hold on, let me show y'all. Let me give y'all the breakdown. One second. Because a lot of people, like, again, the menorahs we be having now, they're not, it was a lamp that you would fill with oil and it would rotate it. And this is where you get the shield, what you would call the shield of David or the pomegranate, the lily, etc. It is a menorah. They're one and the same. And a lot of people really don't understand that. What is that?
That ain't it.
Nah, I'm going to show them. I got
I have close. I don't know
it.
why.
Nah. Shot in the dark. In the dark. Let me see. What does Amalek be doing?
Jews for
man?
Jesus have a menorah with a cross.
Just great.
Smart.
Smart and dark. Let me see.
Y'all gotta be patient in the chat, man.
What are they talking about?
We don't have a visual. The audio is low. Like,
Hey, look, man. I already explained the audio. Ain't much I can do, brother. All right. Let me see.
how about you like the video, man?
Here we go. I got y'all. And make y'all like, share, sub, and super chat. Okay. Where we at? How do I do this? Window. Okay. All right. Y'all see it, right? So real quick, this is how you get what they call it. This is 13th century. All right. We've been using this symbol so y'all can understand. You see this one? We've been using this. I just wanted this on the record. But, for you Star Molding cats. Okay, so here we have the different things. You see, boom, boom. This and the pomegranate and the this and this are the same, because this is the original menorah. Y'all see it right here on the bottom. Y'all see how it looks? It's not just this straight up thing. It's like this. All right, and it makes that same symbol, what you would call the Star of David, right? Same snowflake, a lily, a pomegranate, a honeycomb. All these make the same thing, and as you can see, then when you look at it from this angle, it's the same thing as a lily. Like, this is a lily, right? But then as you see on top, when you look at it from the side angle, it looks as at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Same thing. The same symbol, man. All right. Let me buy another one of this. This is just funny. I just want to show this real quick. You ain't never seen this one?
But they ain't got no precepts. Huh.
You see? They want a brother with precepts. I think, do I have another one? I might just have a picture of it by itself. Nah, I don't. This is just hard. Kind of want this recreated.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's pretty hard. All right, that's all I want to show you. So, But yeah, so that's what the menorah originally looked like. A lamp that you would fill with oil. Alright? Go ahead.
Khan. It says, and speak unto Aaron, and say unto him, when thou lightest the lamps, the 7 lamps shall give light over against the candlestick. And Aaron did so, he lighted the lamps thereof over against the candlestick, as Yahweh commanded Moses. And this work of the candlestick was of beaten gold, unto the shaft thereof, unto the flowers thereof was beaten work, according unto the pattern which Yahweh had showed Moses. So he made the candlestick. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, take the Levites from among the children of Israel, and cleanse them. And thus shalt thou do unto them.
Take the Levites and cleanse them, read.
And thus shalt thou do unto them to cleanse them. Sprinkle water of purifying upon them, and let them shave all their flesh, and let them wash their clothes, and so make themselves clean. Then let them take a young bullock with his meat offering, even fine flour mingled with oil, and another young bullock shalt thou take for a sin offering. And thou shalt bring the Levites before the tabernacle of the congregation, and thou shalt gather the whole assembly of the children of Israel together. And thou shalt bring the Levites before Yahweh, and the children of Israel shall put their hands upon the Levites. And
so all the children of Israel put their hands on the Levites. You said what?
I need to read this part slower.
Okay.
My fault. This is very important. And thou shalt bring the Levites before Yahweh, and the children of Israel shall put their hands upon them.
So all the Levites were brought before all of Israel at this time. And all of Israel, the elders of all the tribes, put their hands on us. Okay? For a purpose. Read.
And Aaron shall offer the Levites before Yahweh for an offering.
And we were offered for an offering to the Most High. We were offered. All the sins of the whole nation were put on us. Right? Read.
Khan, for an offering of the children of Israel, that they may execute the service of Yahweh.
Right? So we could execute the service of Yahweh, meaning kill sacrifices, burn things of that nature for Yahweh. This was the ritual that had to be done in order to give us this authority. Read.
And the Levites shall lay their hands upon the heads of the bullocks.
So when we were being brought the sacrificial animals, we put our hands on the sacrificial animals. Read on.
And thou shalt offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering unto Yahweh, to make an atonement for the Levites.
Exactly. So all of the nation put their sins on us, and then we put all the sins of the nation, we transfer them to the animal, then we kill the animal. The wages of sin are death. That's where that concept comes from. When you sin, something has to die. Period. You transfer it to us, we transferred it to the animals. But that's why when Yahweh Shai was on the scene, the high priest at the time and the chief priest and all of them, they all put their hands, they buffeted Yahweh Shai with the hands. Why? Because they took all those same sins, they put them on Yahweh Shai. He got put on the cross, he was crucified, and all the sins of Israel were taken in that moment. Right? Precept?
And that goes right with Isaiah, the 53rd chapter.
That's right.
And that also proves that he only died for the nation of Israel. Or does it say, yeah, the children of Israel put their hands on the Levites, and it's an atonement for
the whole world.
The whole world. See, but they don't read. I remember No Swag Capone was going into it like I don't know why. Just like a couple of years, he was like, yeah, well, you know, I never really used to read the Old Testament, so now, you know, engaged in Hebrew Israelites. Now I have to start to read, because they don't read the Old Testament, so you won't understand something like that, dummy. Would you just open a book in the look the New Testament? Y'all can't see it, but if y'all can take y'all Bibles and see where the Old Testament, see how thick it is or how thin it is in comparison to the so-called Old Testament. Would you ever pick up a book and just start there and just ignore the
rest of it?
What kind of sense does that make?
That's real.
Use it. But let me get right back to Numbers 8. This is Numbers chapter 8, verse. Because I'm going to read that one part again. Everybody should know about this. Numbers chapter 8, and I think that goes into the video, Conspiracy of Caiaphas.
Yeah, powerful video.
Y'all need to see it. Everybody, y'all need to see that video. Numbers chapter 8, verse 12. And the Levites shall lay their hands upon the heads of the bullocks, and thou shalt offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering, unto Yahweh, to make an atonement for the Levites. And thou shalt set the Levites before Aaron and before his sons, and offer them for an offering unto Yahweh. Thus shalt thou separate the Levites from among the children of Israel, and the Levites shall be mine. And after that shall the Levites go in to do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and thou shalt cleanse them and offer them for an offering. For they are wholly given unto me from among the children of Israel, instead of such as open every womb, even instead of the firstborn of all the children of Israel.
Yeah, so instead of the firstborn of Israel, it was us. So that when we put that on Yahushua, it was him. You see? Go ahead.
Have I taken them unto me.
And it was all set up in the spirit, all according to prophecy. Go ahead.
For all the firstborn of the children of Israel are mine, both man and beast. On the day that I smote every firstborn in the land of Egypt, I sanctified them for myself. So
Israel is his firstborn. Then of his firstborn, the Levites are his firstborn. You see that? Go ahead.
And I have taken the
But then we give it to Yahushua. Yahushua is the firstborn. See? Go ahead.
And I have taken the Levites for all the firstborn of the children of Israel. And I have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron and to his sons from among the children of Israel to do the service of the children of Israel in the tabernacle of the congregation, and to make an atonement for the children of Israel, that there be no plague among the children of Israel. You see how many times we shield the children as children?
Everyone.
When the children of Israel come nigh unto the sanctuary. And Moses and Aaron and all the congregation of the children of Israel did to the Levites according unto all that Moses commanded Moses concerning the Levites, so did the children of Israel unto them. And the Levites were purified, and they washed their clothes, and Aaron offered them as an offering before Yahweh. And Aaron made an atonement for them to cleanse them. And after that went the Levites in to do their service in the tabernacle of the congregation before Aaron and before his sons, as Yahweh had commanded Moses concerning the Levites, so did they unto them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, This is it that belongeth unto the Levites, from 25 years old and upward. They shall go in to wait upon the service of the tabernacle of the congregation.
So when you're 25, as a Levite, that's when you would start your career, so to speak. Go ahead.
And from the age of 50 years, they shall cease waiting upon the service thereof.
So you would put in 25 years of service, in the temple, in the tabernacle. Go ahead.
And shall serve no more, but shall minister with their brethren in the tabernacle of the congregation to keep the charge.
But after 50, you minister in the tabernacle still. So you still have, I believe, I think 10 more years of service. Go ahead.
And shall do no service. Thus shalt thou do unto the Levites touching their charge. This is Numbers chapter 9, verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai in the first month of the second year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying, Let the children of Israel also keep the Passover at his appointed season. In the 14th day of this month at even, ye shall keep it in his appointed season, according to all the rights.
So it's talking about the Passover, right? Read.
And
it said all the what?
All the rights of it.
The rights. What does right mean? Ritual. Right is the root word of ritual. So according to all the rituals, which is the killing of the lamb and the various sprinkling of blood, etc. Right. Read on.
And according to all the ceremonies thereof shall ye keep it. And Moses spake unto the children of Israel that they should keep the Passover. And they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the first month at even in the wilderness.
So where are we keeping the Passover? In the wilderness. So what does this cut? People saying that we have to be in the land to keep the Passover. Read.
In the wilderness of Sinai, according to all that Yahweh commanded Moses, so did the children of Israel. And there were certain men who were defiled by the dead body of a man, that they could not keep the Passover on that day. And they came before Moses and before Aaron on that day. And those men said unto him, We are defiled by the dead body of a man. Wherefore are we kept back, that we may not offer an offering of Yahweh in his appointed season?
No, we can't eat fat, right? Anawakan. But so there's this dilemma that's going on, and the dilemma is, all right, look, we know you can't come and keep this feast if you're defiled by the dead. Yet here these brothers are defiled by the dead. So a precedence is getting ready to be sent here in the law. Read.
That we may not offer an offering of the Lord in his appointed season among the children of Israel.
Now, here's our dilemma. We're unclean, but we need to offer an offering, because it's a high holy day, right? Read.
And Moses said unto them, Stand still, and I will hear what the Lord will command concerning you.
He said, Sit right here. I'm gonna go talk to the man. He's gonna give me what I need to know. Right? Read.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If any man of you or of your posterity shall be unclean by reason of a dead body, or be in a journey afar off, yet he shall keep the Passover unto the Lord.
You see that? He said that because the Passover is so important. It don't matter if you're afar off, not in the land. It's another cut. So we don't got to be in the land. Don't matter if you're
the dagger right there.
The ultimate,
that's the supreme
ultimate dagger.
No, that ain't. There's no. That's shut down scripture right there.
And this is why it's important to read go over all this because you'll see little things like that in there that you may not have looked for, you may not have thought about, but it'll hit you while you're reading over the whole story. Oh, wait a minute. It says if you're on a journey, you're far off, keep it. If you're unclean with it, that's how important Passover is. Even if you're ceremonially unclean, you still got to keep the Passover. So there's literally nothing that can hold you back from keeping the Passover. You have to do it, right? Read.
Yeah, it's over after that. There's no clap back after that.
That's right.
This is verse 11. It says, the 14th day of the second month at even they shall keep it. The 14th day of the second month at even they shall keep it.
There you go.
And eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They shall leave none of it.
And that's what you call the makeup date. If somebody was to miss Passover for whatever reason, there's a makeup date that occurs instead of the first month on the 14th day, the second month at the 14th day. Right? Go ahead.
They shall leave none of it unto the morning, nor break any bone of it. According to all the ordinances of the Passover, they shall keep it. But the man that is clean and is not in a journey, and forbear to keep the Passover, even the same soul shall be cut off from among his people, because he brought not the offering of Yahweh in his appointed season. That man shall bear his sin. And if a stranger shall sojourn among you, and will keep the Passover unto Yahweh, according to the ordinance of the Passover, and according to the manner thereof, so shall he do. Ye shall have one ordinance, both for the stranger and, here's the point, and for him that was born in the land.
That lets you know it's not talking about a non-Israelite. It's talking about an Israelite that's strange to Israel. He wasn't born in the land. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And on the day that the tabernacle was reared up, the cloud covered the tabernacle, namely the tent of the testimony, and at even there was upon the tabernacle, as it were, the appearance of fire until the morning. It says, so it was always, the cloud covered it by day, and the appearance of fire by night.
So there's a chariot, and the chariot took on different forms as it can, as it does, right? Matter of fact, too, I want to show that video of I'll give it its own video, but a brother on so-called New Year's Eve see some chariots, man. We'll probably put it out its own video. Go ahead.
It says, and when the verse 17, and when the cloud was taken up from the tabernacle, then after that the children of Israel journeyed in the place where the cloud abode. In the place where the cloud abode, there the children of Israel pitched their tents. At the commandment of Yahweh, the children of Israel journeyed, and at the commandment of Yahweh, they pitched as long as the cloud abode upon the tabernacle, they rested in their tents.
So the Most High would give us direction in doing that by saying, okay, now y'all need to travel, y'all need to journey. Now stop, wait, and we wouldn't move again until we would get the sign from the Most High. Read.
And when the cloud tarried along upon the tabernacle many days, then the children of Israel kept the charge of Yahweh and journeyed not. And so it was when the cloud was a few days upon the tabernacle, according to the commandment of Yahweh, they abode in their tents, and according to the commandment of Yahweh, they journeyed. And so it was when the cloud abode from even unto the morning, and that the cloud was taken up in the morning, then they journeyed, whether it was by day or by night that the cloud was taken up, they journeyed.
Yeah, so whenever the cloud was taken up, they knew it was time to move. It didn't matter what time of day it was. They was moving. Right, read?
Or whether it were 2 days, or a month, or a year, that the cloud tarried upon the tabernacle, remaining thereon, the children of Israel abode in their tents, and journeyed not. But when it was taken up, they journeyed.
That's right.
At the commandment of Yahweh, they rested in the tents, and at the commandment of Yahweh, they journeyed. They kept the charge of Yahweh at the commandment of Yahweh by the hand of Moses.
They kept the commandments, right? That was it on 9?
Yes, on 9.
All right. With that, again, I just want to plug this. With the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, we're having a MASHARAH YASHARAHLA 12th Summit, Atlanta, Georgia, January 24th to 27th. It's going down, man. We hope to see y'all there. Again, we want to thank and give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shem Yahushai for enabling us and for giving us His truth, and so we can dispense it to the nation. So with that, we're going to close out. Again, all praise Yahweh Shem Yahushai and Shalom.